Hello and welcome back to the show. I am your host, Katie Romagnolo, and today is a really good episode. If you have been feeling like you're going through a transition, because we've had some big energies open up over the last number of days, and a lot of people have been feeling it. Now, you may not know exactly what has been going on, but this might give you some clarity today. So, settle in for a couple of minutes because we are going to be talking about identities and specifically, likely, your identities plural that may be shifting at this time and really coming into an integrated state of alignment. So, this is a really good thing. But how some people might be perceiving this or experiencing it in their waking state, their external experience, is a lot of uncertainty. It might be feelings of chaos. It might be a lot of things that have been breaking down over the last number of days or even weeks, for some months. Now, the amount of timing that you've had a lot of shifting energy occurring within your life is going to be specific to how much is trying to be pulled into alignment for you at this very time. So, if you are new here, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me live. I love interacting with you. We are talking all about moon phases because natural cycles is this mega powerhouse of energy that either supports you in making forward motion in your life, feeling energized and lit up, or there's an energy that actually is more conducive to falling into some of those lower states of just being. And when I say lower, I mean settling in. I mean not having to push and go. It's more of a retreating phase. And when you really get into alignment of knowing when these natural states occur, it becomes this ability to really tap into your own sense of what is good for you, your own intuition, that heart led mission that you have as your calling that you came to this life experience with starts to open up in big, beautiful, magical ways. So, if you have not hit subscribe or the bell to get all of the regular live streams that we do here every Tuesday, go ahead and do that now. This is your cue. And if you're listening to us on one of the other podcast streaming platforms, we are on them all. Thank you so much for tuning in week after week. It has been an incredible season 3 where we shifted into this live and unscripted format. I absolutely love the ability to have more of that face to face with you rather than it just being an audio podcast in previous years. And this was through a lot of the audience asking for different ways to also do interactive card readings. It's kind of tricky to do over an audio. So you can pop over and get the extended here with your YouTube feed. And I can also interact with you in the comments. So thank you for all of your suggestions over the years. We've been shifting and growing as to what all of you have been asking for. And I'm so very grateful to you in the audience and those of you who are in Moonlogic Magic School as well. So check out any of the descriptions below for more details on all of the magical things that we do here at Moonlogic. And we're going to jump into identity. So, right now, we are sitting in the new moon phase. And I teach moon phases in the sense of stretched out days. So, I really encourage you to focus on the energy that presents at a particular moon phase of the four primaries and stay with it for the entire stretch of usually about a week's time until we hit the next major moon phase. The reason for this is scientific. It's because it takes us, our neurology, the way that our mind operates, it takes us time to sink into the details. We need repetition. We need also time to allow for that repetition to not only sink in, but to plug in so that we can pull up information from our subconscious mind that really helps to direct our vision, that helps us to connect to what drives us. So, this is a very important step. If we are to follow moon phases more systematically in the sense of traditional ways where you might see a calendar that every single day the moon phase is shifting, then it can feel a little chaotic to our human experience. Energetically, we got it. If you're able to shift and focus as to what's going on with each of those phases very quickly because you're in a high energetic state, in high attunement, then that's fantastic. But it's not the easiest thing to do when we got to live in a society that also has things that we got to do each day. We've got work schedules, we've got kids, we've got partners, we've got groceries, we got other things. We're multifaceted people. And it tends to sort of bog down our energy because of the mental states that we just naturally need to operate with in. So, this is the way that we sort of allow for our energy to catch up with our physical experience by focusing for a week at a time. Huge, huge, huge tangible results to this stuff, guys. I have used this to write multiple best selling books. I've used this to get on the world tour for Think and Grow Rich as a speaker. I have also used this to get on the hit TV show Dragon's Den to pitch my business. It is endless over the years, the things that I tend to operate my life by in natural cycles. And it's not something outside of you, it's actually something inside of you that allows you to just tap into natural states of being. And this is totally possible for you as well. So buckle in. If you feel like things have been funky, especially for the last couple of days, I cannot tell you how many messages, private calls, and interactions I had over the weekend, this past weekend here, before we hit our new moon phase, which occurred on Sunday, about people who were really feeling like, I don't know what is going on, but I'm not in a regular state of happiness that I usually am. Or I'm having a lot of stuff go on right now that I was not expecting. I'm feeling a certain way that is lingering and I'm not understanding why. And there was just so much confusion around why all of a sudden did we sink into this really sort of sense of unclarity was kind of the best way I can say it. It was hitting everybody differently. So, what actually was occurring over the weekend, and you may have heard this, is that we actually had a shift in the Earth's frequency. The Schumann resonance, which actually occurs, I'm not even going to get into the details because it's not my zone of genius, but my goodness, watching the pictures, go ahead and scroll through social media and look at some of the charts that showed where our actual resonance shifted and was recorded shows that there was something that occurred. Now, there's a lot of really cool details that we could get into about why this occurred, but I want to focus you into more about it occurring right in our transition phase before we start new moon, because that is the important part here. The new moon is all about identifying what it is that you haven't seen. Hence, us talking about the shifting of identities, the coming together. Because if you have been operating in multiple states of being for quite some time, and probably most of you have who are listening, then there's a high likelihood that that shift in resonance that occurred, the Earth's frequency, actually awakened you into many other ways of being, but has pulled them all in together. This is about an elevating of who you are meant to be and elevating by connecting you more into your highest sense of self so that you can operate within that state more so on the regular rather than popping in and out of these different states of being. So, different identities could be where you go to your workspace and you tend to be known as a certain personality there. Maybe this is your work version. Have you ever heard of the work wife or the work husband? It's someone you connect with in a certain way. It's that relationship in that setting. But then maybe you have another version of self where you go home to your family. Maybe it's a little bit more relaxed because at the end of the day, you're not so chitter chattery because you've used all of that part of your identity up in your workspace. Maybe you have your social group, your friends, where you get together with that clique and it's like, oh my goodness, this is the best vibe I'm ever going to experience. And you sort of awaken parts of your personality that you experience with those people that you don't necessarily experience with then your doctor, right? So different states of being are very common. We pop in and out of them. In society, we like to call this putting on different hats. So I am also an owner of a real estate company. I'm a real estate broker for the last 15 years. I operate my business very much so by tapping into intuition, by going with the flow, by building relationships, leading with my heart. But I got a little bit of a different hat that I put on when I'm operating as the owner founder of that company. There's a little bit more logistics that come into it, more of the left side of my brain that I operate within when we're dealing with numbers and spreadsheets and calculations and approvals and all of those good things. Different side of who I am. I love that I get it to pop into more of that right side of my brain and put on a different hat here, more of the magic hat when it comes to being the founder of Moonlogic, where we integrate the energetic pieces. And it's totally okay to pop into all these things. But the one thing that's been happening behind the scenes for us all collectively leading up to this resonance shift that occurred over the weekend is that you're being highly encouraged and supported in integrating all of those pieces so that you can pull them out in any given moment to live more in alignment in any situation. So, for example, my company, Blue Moon Realty, that I operate more in that left side, that different hat, right? The analogical side of my Identity is starting to emerge and coordinate more so with the energetic parts of who I am with Moonlogic. What that could mean is showing up in a client appointment and instead of just being really laser focused on their goals in the sense of financial stability, what it is that they want in a logical sense with the checklist, it starts to become more about where's your heart leading you to go? Why are we making this transition at this point in your life? What does this move mean to you? Why are we truly here? What are you being guided and directed to do? What does your own subconscious mind tell you is the right next step for you? And so it becomes emerging all identities in any given time rather than putting on different hats. And now the merging of those identities can very much so feel like, whew, what is happening here? This might be a little overwhelming. I don't know if I feel this way, then I feel this way. And then it can be all at once. So you may have been experiencing this for yourself in different ways as all of those parts of self are coming in and you're really becoming congruent with where you're being led to go on this next step of your journey. So we've got entrepreneurs here who are growing their heart-led business. You want to do things differently. You want to connect with people and make a difference in the lives of others. So I want to encourage you during this new moon phase where you are highly supported in connecting all of the dots that you didn't see before, noticing how that's happening for you naturally. Notice where you're having crossovers in your life. Notice where you also, in the last couple of weeks, have really had this huge letting go or shedding of either emotions or mindsets or connections in the mind that have said, oh my goodness, I've been operating this way for my entire life. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do something else. Notice the thoughts that you had that felt like you were releasing things in the last couple of weeks. What does that now leave room for you to do? What does that now leave room for you to feel and to think and to receive? Because you have just activated your receiving phase, and that's where you are sitting right now. So it's no longer about thinking about all of the things that had to go, that maybe were chaotic, that shifted out of your life, maybe relationships that changed. Maybe you had to pick yourself up out of something and make that conscious choice to do something different. And that came with some grief. I know I'm in a big transition time myself where there's been a lot of big changes that I absolutely are feeling very, very guided to make and very supported, but it doesn't mean my human self doesn't experience some sadness or grief in the change and the transition. Because when you know one way of being for a very long time and then you move into another state of being, there's a learning curve to it. We're sort of learning how to walk again. So it's okay if there's a bit of a stumble. There's okay or it's okay rather if you are feeling like you're connecting to emotions that are really needing to process at this time and you're not quite sure how. They're coming up to the surface to flesh out and move out so you can move into a higher state of alignment. So, this is about allowing yourself to see what you haven't seen before. And during this phase, the best thing you can do for yourself is to forget about all the things to do. It's not about the do energy. I need to push forward now. It's not about that. You're laying a foundation energetically for the doing stage that is coming next, which is your first quarter moon phase. That's where you're getting the stuff done. But this phase that you are preparing for energetically is all about building up that confidence to do the thing that you're going to be led to do. And in doing that, you need to have a good vibration, and that connects into our feelings. So spend some time this week, today, right after you're done listening to this, in getting into a good feeling state, doing something that's super simple to shift your state. I absolutely love my girl power shirt here. I'm wearing it today for listening on the audios. I am wearing my girl power shirt. You can't see it, but my goodness, it gives me good vibes. I love it because my entire life, I had a lot of times where people told me girls don't do things. Girls aren't worth very much. You can't do that. You can't aspire to that. And I didn't even realize I was being told lies. I was being fed lies. I was absorbing lies. I just absorbed and was feeding on them for a very long time. But at this point in my life, oh my goodness, I got some girl power. And I want to give a lot of that to you as well. I want to give a lot of that power to you as well, regardless of gender. This is states of power in which we are attracting in at this time. So not only am I receiving that and feeling that in this shirt, it's kind of an anchor point for me. I know there's a vibration, a feeling, a resonance that I have built into an anchored state with this shirt. And yes, this is a whole other topic we could dive into with anchored states that you can allow for be triggers, wonderful, beautiful triggers, so that you can activate those powerful states of being at any point in time. So this week, Your homework is to get into good feeling states. And you can start to do your mini anchoring here. I'm going to give you a tip on how to do this by noticing and repeating one particular thing when you're getting into that state. It's going to anchor you to it. You can do this through scent. So maybe there is like the scent of bubble gum that you absolutely love. Maybe it's chewing gum, bubble gum. And you're going to put yourself into this amazing state of being, thinking about something you're really grateful for, hanging out with your friends, or listening to music or dancing, whatever it is that you're noticing in that moment. I'm feeling fantastic. Maybe you're going to chew that piece of bubble gum. That scent, that action, the next time you do it, if you continue to anchor in that particular action with that feeling, you're going to start to trigger it unconsciously. So it's just going to be like this thing that happens when you do that thing. So, also as a reminder here, that brings up a really good point that you can also anchor in negative states. You don't want to do this, but we do this. Oh my goodness, we do this so much. You don't want to do this. This is where you're going to do the same action after you feel something that is not so great. So, noticing the times when you're anchoring states of being, this is just like a really unplanned part of this particular episode that I think is important to know. And as you're moving through that, notice where your identities are coming together. Notice that that can come with some feelings of uncomfortableness, where maybe you want to act a certain way in a setting that you normally didn't. Tuning into your heart and realizing, am I actually getting the ability here to tap into my higher sense of self that used to operate with that hat over there in this setting with this hat over here? And it's a good thing. Notice for the opportunities for where you're pulling out your skills, your resources, your tools of ways of being in other senses. So you're acting in a way that is congruent in all places rather than being different versions of self at any given time. So, if you were noticing that you're having the shift going on, noticing we're moving through the unknown phase, we're about to be building into what is to come, what is better, what we have been waiting for. There's a lot of pent up anticipation energy that has been going on in the background. And those of you who were feeling during that shift over this weekend, those lower states that were more of, I need to let go of this feeling that I'm having. Why am I picking up on these things? There was a lot of opening up of consciousness over the weekend where there were collective energies that I think a lot of people were feeling and sensing. So some of it was processing of your own that's moving and shifting out. Some of it was processing of what is not of your own that you were picking up on intuitively. And it doesn't matter if you identify as someone who is intuitive or not, we do pick up on energy. It's like when somebody is watching you from the back of the room and you don't see them, but you can feel that someone's looking at you. That's energy. That's you sensing something you cannot see. It's a real thing and it occurs in many different ways in our lives. And so, following moon phases, I have found has been an incredible way to build a business intuitively by getting grounded into the energies that are around us and understanding how we operate within those energies so that we can move through things with a bit more flow and ease. So, thank you so much for tuning in today. This is connecting with you. Let me know in the comments. And what are you shifting into? What are these amazing parts of your personality that you are noticing are coming together and you're giving life to something pretty cool? So, stay tuned. We're here every Tuesday, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I will see you all next time.